Hi there. Today's video, yoga video, has a focus on the hips. Now, I know this is an area where lots of people have tightness and tension. This can be for various reasons, but probably the main one is that we sit way more than we should. So we spend a lot of time sitting at desks. We might go to work, sit at a desk all day, get at home, sit on the sofa, and our legs are in this position, which is shortening the muscles here, the hip flexors, which we need to extend and bend from the hips. So we can use our yoga practice to help us get some length through these muscles and to help ease out tightness in this area. So we're going to start today in child pose, where the hip is going to be completely flexed. So we fold forwards from a kneeling position, we fold forwards, try and bring the forehead onto the ground, or make two fists with your hands and place your forehead on your fists. Now this position can be quite tricky for some people, and what might happen is the bottom doesn't want to come down, so you're in this kind of position. Now if that's the case for you, you can roll up a blanket. I've got my jumper here so I can show you. You can use another yoga mat, or you can roll up a blanket, or you could use whatever props you've got to hand and place that on top of the calves so that you've got less distance to come down. It brings a bit of a cushion, and ideally it makes it much more comfortable, so you don't feel that you're kind of suspended in the air. You can relax down and breathe here. So just take a few minutes to settle the body. And in terms of the arms, if your forehead does come to the floor and you're not resting the forehead on the fists, you could have the arms down by your sides. For some people it's much nicer to have them overhead. So you can try all of these things and see what works best for you. And it's really lovely in this position to breathe into the back body, so you can feel the breath moving into the back of the body. And right away we can take our mind to softening and relaxing, inviting the body to soften and relax also. Just take one more breath here. And if the hands are not there already, take the hands above the head. Breathe in to come up onto all fours. So bringing the wrists underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. And thinking of the hips here, quite often we'll do some cat-cow breathing, which you're more than welcome to do. That's where we breathe in, lift the crown and the tail, breathe out and tuck under. So we'll do a couple of those. And you can always, pause the video and do a few more, especially if this is your first kind of movement of the day. And then come to a neutral spine, and thinking of the hips, we're going to take them in a figure of 8. So I'm going to start by taking my right hip over to the right and then tilting the pelvis as I take the left hip over to the left, and then tucking under. So you can see the spine gets a lot of movement as well, but I'm really taking my awareness into the hips, and it feels really good. So we're stretching out all of the tendons and muscles around the hips. Now our hips is a ball and joint socket, and we can't change. Some people have different, the way that the bone, the joint, the ball sits in the socket can be quite different. We can't change that. We can't change the shape of our bones. We can't change the position. But what we can do is work with the muscles and the tendons and ligaments to create some space around the joints. We're going to reverse this circle, or this figure of, it's kind of a circle I guess at the moment actually. I said figure of 8, but it's kind of a circle that we're making with the hips. And we're really stretching all around this pelvic area. So coming into the fascia, the connective tissue that covers everything in beneath the skin inside the body, and it can get quite stuck in places. So this should feel really good. And then come to a neutral position, so just coming back to all fours. And we're going to start to work this hip flexor here. So as I breathe in, I'm going to keep this bend in my right knee, and I'm going to take the foot towards the sky. Toes are pointed. At the same time, you can lift the head slightly if that feels good to you. And then exhaling, I'm going to tuck under and bring the knee towards the nose. Breathing in, opening the chest, but also this area here, the hip flexor, the right hip flexor. Breathing out, tucking in. And a few more times. And you'll feel the muscles in the back engaging here as well. And we do need lots of support from the muscles in the back body, so the glutes and the muscles in the lower back can really help to support the hips. And we'll do one more. And then place the knee back down. So a couple of options here. You can you can leave that right knee where it is to start with, bring the left foot forwards, and come up with the hands and hold on to the right foot, and just keep the left hand on the left knee. Now that's going to bring quite a stretch in here. Some of you can go a little bit further, keep the left knee where it was, take the right leg up like we did before, then we take our balance onto the left side, reach back with the right hand. Whoops. Find the balancing spot so you can focus your gaze to do that. And then you get this resistance between the hand and the foot, and it gives a bit of a deeper stretch into that right hip flexor. And we breathe deeply here. So you can see the front body opens as well. And after a few breaths, maybe you can sort of feel that you're taking the heel a bit closer to the bottom, taking it a bit deeper into that stretch. On an exhale, let go of the foot. If you're in the other version, just come back to all fours, and we'll work with the left side. So breathing in, take the left foot up, take the gaze forwards. If it's not good for your neck to take the gaze forwards, just keep looking down at the floor, that's fine. Exhale, nose to knee. Inhale, opening. Exhale, nose to knee. And then if you did the other version of the hold on the first side, then you'll need to bring your right foot between your hands now. Otherwise, if you're reaching back from here, we shift the weight onto the right hand and knee. Reach back with the left hand to take hold of the left foot, and then pressing down into the ground, opening the front body, breathing into that front of that left hip. Nice deep breaths here. And one more. Exhale, release that knee down. Come back to all fours and just have a little bit of a wiggle out from side to side. And we're going to step the right foot forwards now. So I'm going to bring the right foot in between the hands, and you've got the option here of just keeping the back knee down. So I'm going to tuck the toes under on that foot. So if I was staying here, I would think about taking my weight forwards. You see I shifted that left knee back a little bit. Take the weight forwards, and again we get this lovely stretch through the left hip flexor. Now it's an asymmetrical stretch, so doing opposite things on the two sides, and we can really kind of get into that left hip here, the front, the hip flexor. You can lift the chest, you can take a few breaths. Now that's option one, or if you're a bit more of a challenge, and depending on how your hips are, we can tuck the back toes under. Sorry, from this coming forwards position, we can add in the arms as well. So inhale, take the arms up towards the sky, they're in line with the ears, and just keep releasing into that lunge in the legs. So that's option one, and you could always start with that anyway. And then if you wanted to, you can take the back knee off the ground. I'm just going to move the camera a little bit so you can see, hopefully a bit better. So I start in the same position, right foot's on the floor, tuck the back toes under, and then I'm going to lift that back knee, breathe in, take the arms up. And there's a lot of strength in the legs here, and it's really stretching the front left hip flexor. And take one more breath, and then exhale, bring the hands down, bring the knee down. And then this is quite a nice spot to, I think they call it runner's stretch quite commonly. So to take the body backwards and forwards. So as I breathe in, I'm going to take my weight forwards, and that starts to get into this right hip here, as well as the front of the left hip. As I breathe out, I'm going to push the weight back, let the front toes lift, and this front leg gets almost straight. Don't worry if it's still quite bent, you're working with where you are at the moment. So I'm going to breathe in, take the weight forwards, breathe out, press it back. Take the nose towards the knee if you want to, or you can just keep looking forwards. Inhaling, coming forwards, exhaling, coming back, and then hold each position for a few breaths. So I inhale, come forwards, and I'm really focusing here on just how much can I let go. So perhaps with each exhale, you find a bit more sort of give in the lunge without forcing anything. I'm just breathing in, breathing out. Maybe you need to shift the front foot slightly. And yes, it feels not exactly what I would call comfortable, but it's also not painful. So I'm getting a good stretch on the outside of my right hip, and at the same time on the front left hip flexor, front of the left leg. And then I'm going to exhale and push back and hold this position for a few breaths. Now this is more of a stretch for the right hamstring, and if you pull the toes towards you, that will increase the stretch even more. So I'm pushing the right heel away, drawing the toes towards me, and I'm releasing my nose towards the knee. Just taking a few more breaths here, and then exhaling to come to the other side. So releasing that right leg. Again, have a little bit of movement from side to side when you come out, because it can feel a bit stuck. Step the left foot forwards. So that left foot is in between the hands, knee over the ankle. And I'm going to tuck the back toes under. Remember, you can keep that back knee down if you prefer. I'm going to push that back heel away to lift the right leg, and then inhale, taking my arms out and up, breathing into the stretch in the right hip flexor now. This is a balance as well, so it can be really helpful in balances to find a fixed spot to fix your gaze on. It needs to be something that doesn't move, something that's strong and steady, and that will really help you in the balance. Take one more breath here, and then exhaling, bring the hands down, bring the knee down, and we'll do our back and forth. So I'm breathing in, taking my weight forwards, breathing out, rocking back. And take as much time as you need. Really combine the movement with the breath. I'm really starting to feel it now around the tops of the legs. Some good stretching going on around there. So next time I come forwards, I'm going to stay in this position for a few breaths. I wriggle my foot slightly further forwards. You can untuck the back toes as well. And breathe. Just focusing on releasing through the tops of the legs here. On my next exhalation, I'm going to push back so my hands stay where they are. My toes might lift. I'm pushing away through the left heel. And I'm releasing my nose towards the left knee. So getting a stretch coming into the left hamstring. One more breath here. And then inhale to come forwards. And you might need to be quite careful in how you release this front leg. So by all means wiggle it back a little bit first. Get to a stage that you can just slide that foot back. Come back to all fours. We're going to be coming up into downward facing dog. So from the all fours position, I tuck my toes under. I'm taking a deep breath in. And as I breathe out, I'm lifting my bottom up and back. I move my feet forward slightly, but you may not need to do that. It depends on the length of your limbs, amongst other things. So I'm pressing into the hands and reaching up to the sky with the tailbone. Now, if you have any pain in the lower back or very tight hamstrings, softening the knees a bit here can be really helpful. So we're thinking about a long straight spine and taking the chest towards the thighs. You don't have to hold it this long. It can feel really good to hold it this long as well. So see how you're feeling on any given day. And then on an inhalation, I'm going to lift my heels and look towards my hands and walk the feet towards the hands and the hands towards the feet. So I come into a forward fold. I'm going to inhale, lengthen my spine and look forwards, and then exhale, releasing down. So I bend my knees a little here to help me get a bit more release from the top of the legs. And another thing that can really help with that is to take hold of the opposite elbows and just releasing down. My neck is nice and relaxed, so the crown of the head's dropping towards the floor, and I'm looking back between my own legs. Again, tight hamstrings, you might want to bend the knees a bit more here. One more breath. And then on the exhalation, I'm going to let the fingertips come down to the floor and turn around and take the feet out quite wide. I'm going to inhale and come up, hands to waist, and turning my toes out towards the corners of the mat. Hands on the waist. So we're going to bend the knees now, coming into a kind of a squatting position. My knees are going to track my second toes, so the ones next to the big toes. So I'm breathing in. As I breathe out, I'm bending the knees. Again, working through these hip flexors here. And then I'm going to stand back up. So we can add in the arms. I'm going to breathe in and take my arms out and up. I'm going to bring the palms together, and then as I exhale and bend the knees, bring the hands to the heart center. And then you can take the arms out and up. So breathing in, reaching out and up. Breathing out, releasing down. Once more, breathing in and breathing out. I'm going to come up again. I'm going to bring my feet in slightly closer for more of a normal squat position, and my toes are still going out to the side slightly. As I exhale, I'm going to release down into a squat, which is really nice for my hips. Now, this may not happen straight away. You might find that you're kind of in this position and it feels all a bit difficult. So if you need to stay with the bigger, the taller, this kind of squat, that's absolutely fine. If you're happy coming down, then just enjoy this position. Let the bottom release down towards the floor. Lift the chest. And I can use my elbows to press slightly against the inner thighs or the inner knees. And I'm really pressing my palms together. I'm going to close my eyes for a moment, enjoy the sunshine, and just let my body release around the groin area. So there's, again, the hip flexors are working here. I'm just going to breathe into that space and relax. And then on an exhalation, I'm going to take the hands down and release the bottom down onto the mat. Bring the feet together. So Baddha Konasana, bringing the soles of the feet together. And this distance between the feet and your pelvis can vary, okay? So experiment with what feels good. Personally, I like them quite close. My knees are very closed. This joint here is very closed, and my heels are coming quite close to my pelvis. Take the hands and wrap them around the toes. And then in this position, if you find that your knees are kind of up here and it's very difficult to relax, you can use a cushion or something underneath the bottom, which is going to help you let the knees come down a little bit more. Okay, so if I again take my jumper, I'm just going to pop that underneath the bottom, and that might work for some of you. So see what feels best, okay? And I'm going to interlace my fingers around the feet, lift the chest, and again I'm thinking about relaxing, breathing into this groin area to let the inner thighs just relax down. And it feels different. Different muscles are stretching and relaxing. It's not a position that we would naturally bring ourselves into every day. So just take some time with it, get to know it, breathe into it. And maybe stay 2 or 3 breaths longer than you want to. Those of you that are quite flexible, you may want to come forward from this position as well. So we breathe in, lift the chest. As you breathe out, just take the upper body forwards. It does get a lot more into this groin stretch, okay? So listen to your body, don't force anything. Only coming as far forwards as is right for you. And again, after a couple of breaths, when the body gets used to the position, you may find you can come a bit further forward still, but you're not forcing anything. To come out, we're going to inhale, lengthen the spine, rise up, and I'm going to use my hands to help my legs because they may need a little bit of support to come out of this position. Ever so gently bringing the knees back up. And to finish this session, we're going to come into Supta Baddha Konasana, which means that we're lying down in a similar position. So if you have the knees bent to come to lie down, release the spine down onto the ground. And bring the knees and the ankles together so they're touching. And the heels, again, you may want to experiment with how far the heels are from the bottom. Find the right distance for you. The knees should be comfortable, the hips should be comfortable. And then on an inhalation, I'm going to let my knees open out to the sides. The soles of the feet come together. I'm going to take my arms out slightly and turn the palms upwards. And then I just breathe here. So this is a nice relaxing posture to finish the session. You can always go on to do the relaxation after this. My nose is in line with my belly button. And I'm just breathing into my hips. And it's such a nice day. I could stay here a very long time. Ooh, there's a worm on me, sorry. Worm made me jump. Hello, Mr. Worm. I'll stay here a very long time. I thought it was going to be a ladybird, that's why it made me jump. But you just stay as long as you have. And because our hips are externally rotating now, and again, this is not a position that you would naturally bring them into that often. So I always like to give that bit of support to come out from here if I've been holding it for any length of time. So I take the hands, just place them underneath the thighs, and then draw the knees up towards each other. Take a breath in here, and as I breathe out, I lift the knees over the chest. Gently rock from side to side, or you can use the arms to circle the knees one way and then the other. I'm going to come slowly up. So that's the end of the session today. I hope you've enjoyed. If you have any special requests or questions, please get in touch. My Facebook group is called Yoga with Kitty. I'll try and put a link to that with this video so that you can join me there and ask any questions that you might have. Namaste. Have a great day.